How's it going there, gamers? You know, life's not all about traipsing through dungeons and slaying dragons. Sometimes you gotta kick back, have a frosty brew, spin to gold, squeeze a bum. Let's talk about Downtime, and then we'll get back to the action. Today on WebDM. All right, Jim.
Yeah.
We've had the big thing. We've had the big fight. We've killed the big bad. We've taken his treasure.
Such an endeavor.
Yeah. We've climbed the mountain.
No rest for the weary.
Except for now. It's time to get some downtime.
It's downtime.
It's time to head back to the village. Turn in your quest.
Kick back, turn in your quest, spend some of your hard-won cash. Downtime activities are something that are kind of always been present in the game, but have been more codified and enshrined in the rules with this edition that in a way that I really like.
Most definitely.
If anything, I find that the downtime activities presented in the Player's Handbook and DMG don't go far enough in fleshing out what I see as one of the major pillars, social interaction. Downtime activities are where the social interaction pillar shines.
Exactly.
And to just gloss over them or hand wave them or treat them to just a single die roll doesn't do this part of the game justice. And so I really see downtime activities as a chance to have more adventures and more encounters in a different kind of setting than the traditional dungeon environment.
And also it's more character development.
Yeah.
I mean really with all the interactions, that's where you get to talk to people in the town. You get to build relations. You get to build contacts. You get to make some enemies.
Make some enemies.
Maybe there's a guy that had an eye on that sword that you bought up from under him, you know, because he was saving up for his magic sword, and you just swing into town and go, I want to take your sword, sir.
Absolutely.
You know?
These outsiders come in with bags of gold from their latest dragon slaying adventure, and they show up to the magical auction and piss off the local lord who's been eyeing that sword
by just
forever.
Outbidding everyone for everything.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. And so I think that downtime activities are a great way to show, for the DM to show, like, here's my world. Here is all the components and pieces of it without just dumping a bunch of exposition on the players.
Right.
It's your way to build up the world and to integrate the players into it in a way that incorporates the game itself and is not just, here, read this is my campaign's backstory, or listen to me talk for 30 minutes while I tell you about this city.
Yeah.
It's your chance to go, okay, you really want to know what it's like to live, say, in a port city run by mages, and that's the center of a interplanar gem trade or something like that.
Well,
there you go.
As the player, you waltz into town. What are you going to do? Go to talk to the bartender.
Right.
You have a first interaction.
You have your first interaction. And so what I love about downtime activities is that they give you the opportunity to use your skills and abilities and spells in ways that are not related to combat.
Yeah.
So whether downtime is using a bunch of divinations to get information on your enemies, or just information, period.
Yeah. Maybe on your next leg of your adventure.
The next leg of your adventure. You're using this time to both set up new adventures, and also it's a time to allow for the players to just role-play their characters. What's it like? How does this person feel about the last adventure that they went on? What are the NPCs that they're traveling with? How do they interact with them? All of these things can take place in downtime and should be treated as seriously as a DM treats combat encounters, or the dungeon that they're making, or the plots that they're making up for the NPCs that they're using.
In my Spelljammer campaign,
yeah,
I would say half the time we're playing is downtime, technically. I mean, y'all are on ships.
We're just on the ship.
Traveling from one place to another.
Yeah.
You're talking to your crew.
Yeah.
You're making changes to your ship. You're making contact with people back in your home turf.
Yeah.
You know, through the use of sending, whatever.
But it could easily be that the way you structured the game was to say, okay, you guys spent 63 days traveling through the ethereal void to get to this place. Now let's start the adventure.
Right.
Instead of saying, you guys have 63 days. What do you do? What do you do? What does that look like? What do you do to alleviate boredom? There's like 50 of you on these two ships.
You've come up with a very ingenious way to both train your crew and keep them from being bored, which is
starting a fight club.
Starting a fight club.
Starting a fight club. I mean, the way my character sees it is to keep the crew sharp. They're going to encounter a lot of weird things out there, and we might as well have a fight club where it's no holds barred.
Yeah.
We try not to kill each other.
Exactly. And also, like we learned in Battlestar Galactica, sometimes you need to blow off some steam, man.
Sometimes you need to blow off some steam. Sometimes you need to hit the big man in the face.
Exactly. Sometimes it's okay for one of your crew members to knock Zelo across the head with a sword.
Absolutely.
And he knows that.
He knows that, and he needs to have it. So I mean, I like downtime activities because of the role-playing rich opportunities that they give you, and I do think that the way that they've been outlined in the DMG and even more sparsely in the player's handbook are a springboard to further adventures.
Yeah.
So take, for instance, like building a stronghold.
Oh, yes.
You can just say, a DM could just say, hey, here's how much it costs. Do you have that much? If not, then just leave it at that. Or they could say, here's how much it costs, and then the players have to go on a fundraising tour where they maybe hit up the local lords. Will you sponsor me building this castle, and I will be your vassal, and we'll hold this land for you in name, if you're running a more traditional medieval fantasy one.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the players set off into the wilderness, and they're going to set up a base, and they start excavating and find out there are rock gnomes that live nearby that are really upset.
What to do? That's our backyard.
Right, that's our backyard. You can't just go building there. Do the players interact with them? Do they try to overcome them? Do they try to make allies of them? There's just all of these things. If you set up in our own history, whenever someone came in somewhere and started building castles, stone castles, it was a hugely disruptive thing. Yeah. The local populace was very often conscripted into helping build it or lorded over somehow. I'm thinking of things like the English in Ireland and Wales and using castles as points of domination over the populace. Is that what you're going to go for in your game? Or is the stronghold gifted to you by someone, and maybe it's a crumbling ruin that you have to rebuild?
Yeah, you gotta build it back up.
Got to build it back up. So I mean, all of those things, they can be adventures in and of themselves, and an opportunity for players to use their skills and abilities to their fullest.
Yeah, and also like crafting or selling. You mentioned earlier about the auction.
Yeah.
Crafting and selling items.
Crafting and
that
selling
can be a
items.
whole thing.
Absolutely. I think that for me, the magic item auction, a lot of DMs don't like it. They don't like players being able to buy and sell magic items. What I propose is, instead of the magic kiosk and magic Walmart that 3rd edition was, where you can just walk up and buy whatever items you wanted, and that was the assumption, that you take a page from the magic item section in the DMG, where it says that maybe magic item auctions, the sale and purchase of magic items, resembles more fine art auctions than sort of like walking into a mass-produced store. These are magic items. They're works of art, and they're not just going to be sitting up on a shop window somewhere.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, the Mage Magellan crafted this crystal ball as one of his last acts before disappearing from the known universe. And now we don't need it, so who's the buyers?
Yeah.
And then there's
You got to pump the gas on the sales.
Pump the gas on the sales, and there's a lot of opportunity there. Maybe maybe it attracts thieves. Maybe there's a lot of divination magic that goes on to verify the item. Maybe there's a lot of wheeling and dealing in the auction itself. All of these are places where the characters can get involved in an adventure. The DM can build the world, and there can just be more interaction surrounding downtime.
Most definitely. Also, running a business.
Running a business.
You've told me a story many times.
So
please share it.
So I was playing in a basic D&D campaign. This was like Little Brown Book's D&D, original D&D, and I had a lot of money, and I didn't really have a lot to spend it on. So I'm like, hey, can I invest in a ship? We're over here in this sort of colony situation. There's a whole empire back home. There's a lot of trade going forth between the colony. I was like, I can't invest in a ship and get a return on my investment and become like a merchant wizard that lives large on his merchant earnings and stays in his tower and adventures just for the hell of it. And the DM was kind of like, nah. It seemed to like completely bypass him. Like, why in the world would you want to start a business? I saw that as a missed opportunity, because I see a player who came to me and said, hey, I want to start a business, or I want my character to be involved in a business, and go like, sweet. There's a lot of things you can mine for that. Like, medieval businesses were cutthroat, merciless. Oftentimes it involved peril to the business owner themselves. They're having to travel places, go places, do things. There's a lot of opportunity for adventure there. That I think should be mined and shouldn't just be reduced to a single die roll.
Right. In my current Spelljammer campaign, it's not a business, but your character Zelo has invested in a party.
Oh yes, it's at some point Zelo decided that he wanted to be the mysterious wizard in a tavern that contacted a group of first level adventurers, and so as a 12th level adventurer himself, he is sponsoring a party of first level adventurers so that they can kind of do the dirty work that he doesn't have time for.
Right.
And yeah, so I would, that's maybe a combination of, sowing rumors, got to put out feelers, who's going to come to you, who's not, running a business. There's a lot of different things. There's some things that aren't even covered in the Dungeon Master's Guide.
Yeah.
Running a Thieves Guild would be a great downtime activity.
Yeah.
Breeding magical monsters might be another downtime activity. Researching spells would be another.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because the spells that are in the book, those are the
most common and well-known spells in the Dungeons and Dragons world.
Yeah.
They are not the only spells there.
But yeah, write your own spells. Come on.
Write your own spells.
Why not?
Absolutely. So I think that downtime activities is this opportunity to have an adventure that doesn't rely on combat and lets your players do something different and get involved in the world differently. That doesn't mean there's not action. Maybe they have to chase down a thief.
Right.
Maybe they have to win over a council of merchants in order to get a sweet contract or secure a lucrative deal. Maybe the player that's trying to sell the magical items realizes that the buyer is going to do something nefarious with them, and that leads to further complications. Things do the players care that what's going to be done with their magical items whenever they sell them, or conversely, maybe the player buys a magical item that some high muckety muck in town really wanted for themselves, and now that animosity, you've created an enemy. There's now a further complication. Like all of those things are interesting things that you can do with downtime activities.
Most definitely. And another thing to never overlook: training.
Training, absolutely. Learning a new language, gaining a tool proficiency. I can even see some cases where you can use the training rules to grant feats, or even something more powerful. They're a good way to introduce gaining new abilities outside of leveling up,
right?
Which sometimes is more appropriate than gaining XP.
Yeah, because if you're putting in the role-playing experience, to say I want to train extra, why shouldn't you get some return on that?
Why shouldn't you get some return on that? And a lot of times, particularly when it comes to languages and tools, players want them so that they can interact more with the world. They want more options for interaction. And so I see, in a lot of ways, I see the skill system in 5th edition as being very restrictive. You really just get your set number, and that's it. Once you've got the ones you're proficient in, that's otherwise it. And training to gain skills, even if it's just tools and languages, allows characters to go, you know what, really do need to learn Elven because 3/4 of the party knows it, and if I had only learned it, we could have our own sort of secret code or something. Or we're going on we're special envoys to Thay, and it's going to take us a long time to get there, so I might as well learn the language on the way there.
Right.
You can recreate the 13th warrior scene of sitting around the fire and learning whatever Scandinavian language they're speaking.
Yeah. All you got to do is listen, man.
All you got to do is listen. So that but bottom line is downtime activities are a source of adventure.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be glossed over, and the rules that are in the DMG should be used as a springboard for other things. I would encourage every DM to incorporate that more into their campaigns.
Most definitely. We can get right back to the action.
Yeah.
So once again, thanks for watching WebDM. Go ahead and subscribe. Let us know in the comments. Head on over to Facebook. Like us over there. Tell your friends about us. Come on back next time. We can't wait to see you. Have a good one.